A practical application from the book of Revelation. Come out of Babylon by taking to heart the exilic curses. Revelation 18:4, talking about the fall of Babylon, says, "Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues." How do you come out of Babylon? There's many points on what it means to come out of Babylon, many things to take notice of, but one that we noted in this series is that is in Deuteronomy 30, because the Torah, Deuteronomy in particular, forewarns that after Moses is gone, the people of Israel will fall into idolatry and be sent off to exile. And he prescribes the solution when you find yourself in this exilic condition, and when all of these covenant curses, in addition to the covenant blessings that you had previously experienced, when the covenant curses come upon you, which includes being sent off to exile nation far away, there's a solution for that. When these things have come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and return to the Lord your God, you and your children, and obey his voice in all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your soul. Then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have mercy on you. He will gather you again from all the peoples where the Lord has scattered you. So the Israel was scattered physically, in literal physical geographic exile in Babylon. The lampstands of the churches were warned that they would also be spit out of Jesus' mouth, that the lampstand would be removed from its place, that they would go into a spiritual exile and a desert forsaken, desolate loss of the presence of the Spirit and Christ standing amongst them in the holy place when they're carted off by the nations because they weren't in the holy temple when the nations flooded into the holy city. The solution is these curses that have come upon you, call them to mind, literally take them to heart, or cause them to return to your hearts. If you want to return from exile, cause these things to return to your heart. In other words, take those curses and the curses of exile, the trauma of exile, because Deuteronomy 28, as well as Leviticus 27, really describes exile in traumatic terms. But instead of pushing the pain of that discipline away, take the sharp pain of the curses of being in exile and let it return to your heart. Don't send it into exile. Let it come back from exile. Take it to heart. Let it pierce your soul, as it was intended to do, with the token of God's displeasure. In fact, God's great anger at yourself, your people, your heritage, who had forsaken his ways in such a way as to warrant being sent into exile. We are all in exile from as humans. We have been exiled from the garden. We have been exiled from God's intimate presence. If you are Jewish, then your people were exiled to Babylon, never fully recovered the home country, because through several empires down to Rome, and then the re-sacking of Rome and being scattered amongst the nations. If you are a Gentile, you have been exiled from Babel in Genesis 11, scattered amongst the world, and without God and without hope in the world, without God's covenant blessings. And as the churches that were endowed with the Spirit at Pentecost, but forsook their first love and were threatened with having their lampstands removed, the churches have gone into spiritual Babylon, the Babylonian captivity of the church that Revelation 18 calls you to come out from. So rather than resisting these curses, take them to heart. The sharp edge of the curse knife is what cuts the foreskin of the heart as the mechanism of the new covenant, circumcising the foreskin of the heart, fulfilling the new covenant promise of a new spirit and a new heart, the law of God written on your heart. Let the law of God be written on your heart through the searing iron of the curses of exile. Let it have its effect by taking the reality of the exilic condition to heart.